Good afternoon, you guys. My name is LaBridget, and I will be reading from Sweet Dream Kisses, Treasury of Bedtime Stories. I will be reading the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, adapted from the English fairy tale, illustrated by John Manders. Once upon a time, there lived a poor widow and her only son, a boy named Jack. The two lived in a humble house, and their only possessions was a scrawny cow that had no milk. One day, Jack's mother told the boy to take the cow to town and sell it so they would have money to buy food. On his way to town, Jack met a rather strange man. "My lad, what a fine animal you have there," the man said. "Why, I'll trade you these magic beans for your cow." Jack knew his mother expected him to sell the cow for food, but he was intrigued by these magic beans. However, when Jack returned home, his mother was not so thrilled with the beans. "Magic beans," she yelled. "Who ever heard of magic beans? You silly boy. Now we'll surely starve." With that, she knocked the beans from Jack's hand and right out the window of their house. She sent her son to bed for the night. Jack fell asleep feeling very bad about what he had done. Of course, there was no such thing as a magic bean. Now what would they eat? The next morning, Jack woke up still feeling bad about losing the family's cow. But as he rubbed the sleep from his eyes and peered out the bedroom window, he saw a giant beanstalk. The beans had been magic. Without a second thought, Jack went outside and began to climb the beanstalk to see where it would lead. Jack climbed and climbed until he was high among the clouds. Finally, he climbed above the clouds at the beanstalk's very top. There he found himself staring at the biggest, most magnificent castle he could imagine. Jack's curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to see what was inside of the castle. Jack arrived at the tall front door of the castle and found that the keyhole was higher than the top of his head. But Jack found a way into the castle by crawling through the space at the bottom of the door. As soon as Jack was inside the castle, he heard loud footsteps crashing toward him and a booming voice that roared, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smelled the blood of an Englishman." Jack looked up, and standing there was a giant, hairy, angry, ugly giant. And from the sound of it, the giant was none too happy that Jack was snooping around. Quickly, Jack hid underneath a very large teacup. The giant stopped and sat down at the table with a thud. "1, 2, 3, 4, chanted the giant. "I have some, but I want more." Hearing this, as well as the jangle of metal coins that came from the tabletop, Jack realized that the giant was counting piles of gold. Soon, Jack heard snoring. The giant had fallen asleep. The boy sneaked out of the teacup, took as much gold as he could carry, and then scurried out of the castle. Jack didn't stop until he had climbed down the beanstalk and arrived at his mother's house. "Look, Mother," Jack cried, "I have found enough gold to keep us from being hungry ever again." Jack and his mother lived happily for quite some time, until one day Jack decided he wanted to climb back up the beanstalk to explore the giant's castle a bit more. Once there, Jack again heard the giant roar, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smelled the blood of an Englishman." Quietly, Jack hid behind the table leg. This time, the giant pulled out a harp. The harp was particularly special. It could sing. The harp sang a beautiful lullaby, and soon the giant was asleep. Jack climbed to the harp, tucked it under his arm, and turned and headed for the beanstalk. But the harp didn't want to be stolen. It cried for help, which woke up the giant from his slumber. Jack looked back to see the angry giant running after him. As Jack climbed on the beanstalk, he yelled to his mother, "Hurry, Mother, bring the hatchet." Jack's mother ran to the base of the beanstalk with the family's hatchet. As Jack reached the bottom and set his feet on the solid ground, he took the hatchet and began to chop away the beanstalk. He looked up as the giant quickly made his way to the ground. Jack kept on chopping. The giant was getting closer and closer. "Hurry, Jack," cried his mother. "The giant is going to get us." Jack chopped, and soon the beanstalk fell to the ground with a crash. And so did the giant. "You did it," Jack's mother said to him. From that day forward, with the magic harp singing its lovely songs, the gold Jack took from the giant, Jack and his mother lived happily ever after. The end.